So I've been saying for ages that I want to do these anti-roll bar bushes at the back, but I've never got around to it yet. But we can see obviously they need a bit of attention and they need a bit of sprucing up. And now I've ordered these and they've just arrived, so let's get on and do it. So to make life easier, first thing I'm going to do is just get the back of the car up in the air. So now with the car in the air, we've got a nice bit of height. The car's obviously safely on the axle stands, on that side, on that side. We've got the front wheels are chocked as well, both front and back, so it's not going to roll forwards or backwards. And obviously we've still got the trolley jack under there as well, just supporting the car. What we need to look at is going to be removing the bracket for these anti-roll bar bushes. So I'm going to get a wire brush on here, give it a good clean up, and then we can look and find out what size this is. With them all brushed down and looking a whole lot cleaner and less full of dirt, what we can actually see is it's a number 18 on the bottom here. And as much as I put some WD-40 on here, I'm not entirely convinced that this bottom nut isn't actually part of the bracket, and what we need to get to is this Torx fixing up here. So I'm just going to see whether or not I can get this to move, but I think it may be that it's actually part of the bracket. Okay, well that didn't seem to want to budge at all. So I'm guessing, I'm going to assume at least, that it is part of the actual bracket and it's fixed to it. So on top it is an E14 bit, but as much as I might be able to get it on there, I'm not sure about this side. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to get a socket in there to actually get it undone. Okay, so I've managed to actually get the socket on there and get the ratchet handle attached to it. I thought I'd just give it a go. I wasn't being optimistic about it at all, but in actual fact I've actually got it going. So as much as it's a small movement, I should be able to get this one free. I'll just have to have a go, see whether or not I can do exactly the same for the one at the back as well. Okay, good news. So I've managed to get the socket on the back as well. I've managed to get the ratchet handle on there, and I've actually managed to get it loose. It wasn't too tight at all, to be fair. I'm not quite sure what the torque settings are on these. I'll have a look obviously when it comes to that point. So I've got the first one out, and you can see obviously that Torx head there. What I found in the end was that it was so tight in there, as it was going up, all I was getting was one click on the ratchet and it was kind of taking forever. So what I've actually got now is an 11mm spanner, just with that kind of, that end on it there. And the 11mm spanner is actually the perfect fit for the E14 head. So just popping that on there and just running around, because it's a lot shorter as well, I'm getting a lot more turn to it, so it's actually going faster. So I'm just going to carry on with that 11mm spanner and hopefully get this one off. Okay, so quite some time later, we've actually got the roll bar off, both the bushing housings as well. Looking at these bush housings, it looks like the whole thing is actually one piece and it's kind of clamped in somehow. I'm guessing I'm either going to have to drill it out or rethink actually fitting these. But I mean, you can see by the state of the bushes now that they do need changing anyway. Well, unfortunately for today, I've actually run out of time, so I'm going to have to put it all back together. Great, it's a new day today, so let's get the car up in the air and the roll bar off again. Since the other day, what I actually did was invest in one of these 11mm ratchet spanners, and I'll tell you what, it's actually really working so well. I definitely recommend getting one of these if you're going to try and get your hand in here and do this, because without that ratchet it's kind of so slow going. Okay, brilliant. So we've got that again nice and fast today. So we're going to take it into the garden and get it on the workbench. Okay, great. So now with it out and on the workbench, we can see obviously the bracket where that stud goes through. It looks like it's obviously been clamped almost like a rivet to hold it in place. So this is the bit that we're going to need to drill out, so that hopefully this back side or this back section we should be able to take off, and then obviously we'll be able to get the old bush out, get the new bush in, and then hopefully put it all back together. What I want to do at the same time though is refurbish these brackets, because they're a little bit ugly, a little bit rusty, they need a bit of treatment. So we're actually going to spray these up today as well. So if you're drilling these out, what I've got at the minute is just a 13mm bit. To be fair, it's about the biggest I can get in my chuck as well. So we'll give this a go and we'll start with this. Okay, so it's going quite well. It's a lot softer than I thought it was going to be. We might actually need to go a bit bigger, to be fair. We might need a 15, but we'll see how we get on. I'll carry on and go through, and then we'll see what happens. So this first one's come away nicely. What I did in the end, once it had gone through that bit, I just kind of went round slightly, just on the outside of it, until it was thin, and I could just about see the edge. So I just managed to get the screwdriver in there and kind of pry that edge away, and then just by wedging it in there, kind of managed to push it up like that, and it's come away. So what we can actually see inside, if I get the camera in the right place, there we go, you can see the nut where it's kind of fixed in, and it looks like it's a little bit loose. So what I'm going to do is just release the workbench a little bit and just see if that nut wants to come away. I've actually got some replacement nuts as well, so fingers crossed. Yeah, there we go, perfect. So we can discard that, and what we'll do, just get the other one done, and then yeah, we should be able to get this first brush off. Okay, so let's have a look, see if we can pull this bracket off the front. I guess it's going to be quite tight because it's been on there for a number of years. But there we go, it definitely wants to move. There we go, off it comes. The old bush, we can look at that now. We can see it's not actually in too bad condition, but obviously it's well corroded and split around there. So we'd need to be changing it anyway. And obviously you can see here what's really important. I don't know if you can just about see that. It says 15, which is the diameter of the roll bar. So when you buy the replacement bushes, there's two options. You'll see one's a 15mm, which is my car because it's the Veloce, and one is a 14mm, which I think is the Lusso spec or something like that. So just check with your car, make sure it's the right one for you if you're going to order these, and get the right diameter ones. So now I'll just get this other end done as well. So if it's cleaning these up and tidying them up, I've got some of these kind of wire wheels, or wire walls, whatever you want to call them, wire wheels I'm guessing. But what I thought I'd try first, just we've got our sanding disc on the polishing tool, to be fair. It just come out, you can see on that. I thought we'd just give it a go, just see if we can give it a quick clean up. Obviously it's not going to get right in the corners, that's we're going to need to use this to get in there. But let's have a quick look and just see how it goes. So that looks pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with that, to be fair. So what I'll do, I'll just carry on. Maybe I'll give this a go, try and get right in the corners as well. And then what we're going to do is get some kind of rust cure stuff on there as well. Get that curing and get that going so that we can get rid of all this rust before we spray it up. Okay, brilliant. So with that first part clean, pretty clean as I can get it really, or as clean as I'm happy with, should we say. What I'm going to do now is actually put some of this cure rust stuff on it. So anything that's left on there, it's just going to kind of take out any contamination, should we say, and what it does is turns rust basically into a paintable surface. But obviously we've got a little paintbrush there, rather than obviously put the paintbrush back in and contaminate the pot. We've just got a little pot which I'm just going to pour some into there, and then we're not going to contaminate that. So I'm just going to do this first one, and then what I'll do, I'll get the other three all cleaned up, get the cure rust put on there. So by the time I've done the last one, this one should be ready for potentially painting already. Okay, great. Now just set that aside for it to dry and get on and do the other three. And obviously while we're at it, I'm going to make sure that we do the anti-roll bar as well. Okay, fantastic. So they're all sanded down now. They're all covered in the cure rust stuff as well. So they're all drying nicely in the sun. The first one's pretty much done. The time it's taken to get all them sanded down and the anti-roll bar as well, it's been about an hour and 5 minutes. The anti-roll bar, we've got rid of all of that rust on there as well, which is really good. This has been done with the cure rust stuff as well. I was really actually surprised to see how far the rust had gone. Even though it looked nice and smooth paint, the rust had actually gone really far up it. So I've gone over and taken loads of it off. But that's now, yeah, it's all good. It's drying nicely in the sun as well, so that's about ready to go too. Okay, great. So the brackets are all dried now. They've been sitting in the sun for a while, so they're nice and dry, nice and clean and ready to paint. So what I've done is just knock myself a quick spray booth up, as you do. And now what we can do, obviously I'll just have a quick look over them, check, make sure they're all good, check there's no dodgy bits or anything like that on them, and then we can start spraying. Okay, and so don't get me wrong either, I'm not a sprayer. I've never sprayed before. I'm sure there's plenty of people that might watch this that have got a spray booth that are saying, what the hell am I doing? But you know, it works for me, so it might work for you as well. It just saves getting spray paint all over the inside of my setup here. So I've shaken the can for a good minute now, that it says on the instructions. So let's give this a go. I'm bet you weren't expecting that colour. Okay, great, so I've got that first coat on, and I'm actually really pleased with the way that's gone on. It's gone on nice and smooth and nice and evenly, and it actually looks really good just after one coat. Obviously, I'm going to wait for it to dry a little bit, and then we'll get some more paint on there, 2 or 3 coats. But what I'm going to do as well in the meantime, I've got the roll bar itself set up here, ready to go. So let's give this a coat. Okay, so we've gone over that. It's looking pretty good, to be fair. I did get one little run just around here somewhere. I think it was just because I was going too close to it. So I stepped back and moved it away a little bit more, and it's given a much better finish so far. Obviously, you can still see the black coming through because it's only one coat. But I've gone over the other bits as well, just with a second coat, and they're looking really good so far as well. So what I'll do, I'll just give them all a little while to dry now, and then we'll just get a second coat, third coat on there. And then, yeah, hopefully in time, we'll be able to get them back on the car soon. So they're all done now. I'm pretty happy with them the way that they are. I was going to put a lacquer coat on, but to be fair, this spray is super gloss. It's coming out really well. Well, if I hold up, you can see it. It's come out really well, and it's actually left a really glossy finish. So there's a couple of satiny bits, I think, just where it's still drying. So what I'm going to do now is just leave them to dry. But one thing I would say, as much as I put kind of protection up on the walls to stop the stuff going, or stop the spray going all up the walls, what I hadn't realised was obviously how much it falls to the floor, and everything is just red at the minute. So I'm hoping that that's going to sweep up okay, because it's just absolutely covered in red paint, apart from obviously that bit where I put that. But for now, I'm really happy with the way that they've come out. So yeah, we'll give them a little while to dry. I might move them into the sun. It's lovely and sunny today, just to help that speed up a little bit the drying, and then really looking forward to getting them on the car. So it's been a few hours, and I've let them dry just about as much as I can let them dry for today. I need to get them back in the car, because otherwise I'm going to run out of time again. But to be fair, I'm really pleased with the result. I think they've come out really, really well. So you see on the bar itself, just over here, there's kind of a flat notched out bit. That's the only side that has it. This side doesn't have it. That side goes to the right hand side of the car. So as we look at the back of the car, that's obviously going to be on that hand side. Okay, great. So we've got the bushes, we've got the grease, we've got the bars ready, we've got the brackets, where everything is ready to go. So let's get them back on the car now. So because these are pretty tight trying to get them on, you can see there's kind of not a lot of flex in them, which is the whole point. What I'm going to do is, before I get this back underneath the car, is just get these mounted, one here and obviously the other one over the other end, so I'm not struggling to get them on while it's underneath. And now just the other one. It's very important to make sure you get a good amount of grease on your bush. So I've got the bar in position. What I did was just kept it wrapped up in this dust sheet for the time being. So as I went through, I didn't scratch it up or nothing like that. So I'm really happy with it. What I'm going to do is just leave this in place while I'm getting these on initially, and then obviously once it's done, we'll be able to take it away and see the finished product. So with the bushes in place, what I'm obviously going to do now is just get the grease on the outside of this one first, and then we can look at getting this bracket on. So with them on just loosely there, what I'm going to do is just exactly the same on the other side. And then what I think we'll do after that is just get it connected onto the drop link, so that we've got our correct left and right positioning before we tighten it up. Okay, great. So this side's gone in really well as well. I'm really pleased with the way it's gone in. So next up, what I'm going to try and do is just try and get this drop link connected on. Should just be able to lift it up slide it through, there we go. And then I'll just do the same on the other side. So what I think we're going to do is just tighten up the drop link first, because that'll hold it in position left and right wise. Okay, brilliant, that's looking really good. So I've got it just up tight, pretty tight already, so we just need to torque these up now. So the fixings up here, here, and obviously here as well, all on the other side, they're all actually 50 to 60 Newton meters. So I'm just actually going to go on to 50 Newton meters today. Okay, so there we go, all torqued up, all done and dusted, all ready to go. The cloth's out of the way and we can see the result. I think it looks absolutely incredible. I'm so chuffed with it. One last thing I'm going to do though is just put some copper grease on the ends of these threads. Okay, and one very last thing to do is get the car back down on the ground and take it for a test drive. So one of the things that I should have said I'd done as well was once the car was back down on the ground, all I did was just loosen them 3 fixings off each side and just re-torque them back up again, because you should always torque it with the wheel kind of on the floor so it's putting pressure on the fixings. Okay, great, what a fantastic test drive. So I know it's only those rear anti-roll bar bushes that we've done, but I'll tell you what, the car just feels more planted. So I know it's been a real effort trying to get to this point. Obviously the first problem that we had was trying to get the fixings off as well. One of them was really tight, it was a nightmare to get off, and then having to drill it all out. You didn't need to spray it, to be fair, obviously. I just wanted to spray it because they needed some love, care and attention, so I took the opportunity obviously to do that at the same time. But for me it's really been worth it and I'm really pleased with the results. When you look underneath, and obviously it just looks brilliant. I think one of the things that we're going to be doing next is going to be hopefully the lower arms on here as well. And obviously when we come to do that, what I'm going to try and do is take the opportunity. I think I'm going to do the front anti-roll bar bushes as well. But for now, as ever, that's it. If you've enjoyed it, then give us a like down below. If you haven't done so already, remember to hit subscribe coming up here now. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch it. So for now, thanks very much, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.